Our next guest, Jennifer Bukowsky, joins us on KCMO Talk Radio. She's a Columbia attorney, national volunteer as well for the RNLA, that is the Republican National Lawyers Association. And you can find her on X, formerly Twitter, at ESQ on Fire. Find her there. And by the way, Jennifer is going to be filling in next week on this show. I believe that's going to be on Wednesday morning. So, Jennifer, good morning. Welcome in. Great to have you here.
Good morning, Pete. Great to be here.
So let's just start off your reaction last night as an attorney from a legal perspective with what the Colorado State Supreme Court decided. What was it?
It was jaw-dropping, Pete, to see this notification and then see the hubris that 4 of the 7 state Supreme Court judges in Colorado came up with in disqualifying Donald Trump from the ballot last night. I was pretty shocked by it.
Well, how about the 14th Amendment side that they referenced here when they referred to, the insurrection, and that's basically why they determined that he would not be on the ballot? Why does that not hold up legally in your estimation?
Well, this all started, Pete, in August when a law review article or an article came out, The Conservative Case to Disqualify President Trump by Professors Bowd and Paulson, where they argued that Donald Trump could be disqualified under that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. This article is relevant because it's been used as a basis to file these Section 3 lawsuits in 25 states so far. One has luckily been dismissed that they were watching carefully, but there's still 3 others that are being closely watched. And the Colorado Supreme Court quotes extensively from this article in their opinion. So we have to bear in mind that the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868 after the Civil War. And Section 3 prohibits people who have taken an oath to uphold the Constitution from holding certain offices if they have engaged in an insurrection. The problem with this argument is that in order for that to happen, you need 2 things. You need there to have been an insurrection, and you need Trump to have engaged in that insurrection. Now, I saw Professor Bowd speak at the Federalist Society National Conference at this 90-minute panel in November at our annual lawyer meeting, and I also have read what he wrote at length about what the word insurrection meant at the time the 14th Amendment was ratified. Now, that's the proper approach to see, what did they mean when they enacted these words. But the way that they do it is flawed, Pete, because the historical examples they use to formulate this definition all involve people taking up arms. They talk about the Whiskey Rebellion. That involved 500 armed men attacking a fortified home of a tax inspector. They talk about the Fries Rebellion. Several hundred men took up arms against the federal property tax. They mention the slave rebellions, and there's several of those. But, for example, in 1800, 1,000 armed slaves massed for action near Richmond. And in 1831, they made a movie about this when Nat Turner and a small band of slaves rebelled, attracted 75 more slaves and killed 60 whites and fought the militia with them. So they also cite things like the Insurrection Acts of Congress, which all concern the federal government being able to call upon militias. That implies arms as well. And I think this is highly significant. They cite a prominent legal dictionary that was out at the time. And in that, it defines an insurrection simply as a rebellion of citizens or subjects of a country against its government, and it defines rebellion as the taking up of arms traitorously against the government. So that legal definition at the time required arms. Mm-hmm. But the definitions they came up with, Pete, is so vague. They came up with, after all of this, a concentrated, forcible resistance to the authority of government to execute the laws.
So it sounds.
And so they said, well, the J6ers entered the Capitol by force, so that was an insurrection. But I don't think that definition is consistent with the understanding of the word insurrection at the time, because they weren't armed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it would seem to me, Jen Bukowsky is joining us, Columbia attorney. She is on KCMO Talk Radio. She does a lot of radio work as well in mid-Missouri. She'll be filling in on this show next Wednesday. It seemed to me that two things can be true at once here. You can be of the belief that, January 6th was certainly not good, and a lot of people look bad, and a lot of people did break the law, technically, but at the same time, to take somebody and disqualify them from running for president when they were never, forget accused, they were never convicted of anything in a court of law in the wake of that, is not fair to the American people and the American electorate. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, it's extremely anti-democratic to just take someone, a major candidate, off the ballot and under some proceeding where, you didn't really have a trial. They did have a trial in the lower court, but they used some of the J6 hearing testimony and the report from that, very partisan proceeding where there were 7 Democrats and 2 so-called Republicans on that committee. And so it is anti-democratic to save democracy by taking away people's ability to vote for their preferred candidate. Mm-hmm. I hope it puts Colorado in play. But the other big problem with it, Pete, even if you were to say, okay, they can do this, they haven't established that he's engaged in the insurrection either, which would be another requirement. And furthermore, there's a strong argument, and the lower court in Colorado agreed with this, that the office of the presidency is not subject to Section 3 of Amendment, the 14th Amendment, So, yeah, there's lots of problems with this. But that legal definition that I just read you, where I said the insurrection meant this and rebellion meant that? Mm-hmm. The Colorado Supreme Court only quoted what the insurrection meant and didn't go on to quote what rebellion meant, like the Law Review article did. Why? I think it's because they didn't want to get into the issue of it involves the taking up of arms against the government. Remember in June when the Wagner Group in Russia, a private army led by Yevgeny Prigozhin, they pulled out of Ukraine, took over a town and a military base across the border in Russia and started marching on Moscow with all their weapons and anti-aircraft missiles. Mm-hmm. That would be an insurrection or rebellion. What happened in January 6th was not.
All right. Well, Jen, we are going to be following this. I'm sure that you'll have plenty to discuss on this show next week. We're looking forward to having you fill in. And I'm saying it right now to all the callers and texters, be nice, be polite. Jen's going to do a great job next Wednesday filling in. So thank you, Jen. We appreciate it. And we'll be listening next week.
I can't wait. Thank you so much, and have a great vacation.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. That is Jennifer Bukowsky. She is a Columbia attorney, does a lot of radio work in mid-Missouri, and she's going to be filling in one of the days next week when I am out after Christmas. So looking forward to having her on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.